This is a special motherfucking report, hot off the streets of resistance. DPD pigs raided Unconventional Action's convergence space. You know, what government resistance plans its mischief. The pigs took their banner-making materials and arrested 3 people. We'll keep you updated as new information comes in.
It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine.
Good morning, slaves, and welcome to another edition of It's the End of the World as we know it and I feel fine, where we proudly don't wear makeup. I'm your host, Stimulator, and while the government Denver pigs are violating activist civil rights, the Minneapolis swine seized video equipment, laptops, and cell phones from our RNC video wrecking crew.
They confiscated our cameras. They confiscated our notes. They confiscated our computers. What they took away is our ability to report.
Yep, the powers that be feel threatened by the power of Indymedia and want to silence us. But we have a secret weapon, the motherfucking NLG.
This is absolutely outrageous behavior for a police department towards individuals who are engaged in protected First Amendment activity and who have a documented record of exposing police misconduct.
Oh, snap. Over here in Denver, while the Republicans played the race card to shove Obama down people's throats, another black candidate was making waves at Rebellion Central.
When it came to the Constitution, the Democratic leadership showed us that aiding and abetting illegal spying on us was more important to them than protecting our civil liberties. When it came to war and occupation, the Democratic leadership showed us that financing an illegal and immoral war based on lies was more important to them than the people's desire for peace. And when the people, hurting from the financial mismanagement of this country, called for accountability for the crimes that have been committed against the people here, against the global community, against nature itself, the Democratic leadership took impeachment off the table.
In downtown, the Po kept doing their thing, you know, locking down dissent. Code Pink activist Alicia Forrest was brutalized by Denver's finest.
Do it again! Get up!
What the fuck's wrong with you?
And later arrested during a confrontation with a fucking redneck homophobic pastor. And finally, as I was standing in line to buy a 12-pack of brewskis, I had this really freaky experience.
Revolution.
Revolution. You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And, it'll take time to restore chaos. But we will restore chaos. Freedom is beautiful.
Sexy. Sexy.
Evil has found a willing servant.
We're going to do anything. We're going to go the distance. Smoke them out of their caves. Wanted, dead or alive.
Courage, America!
As President, John Kerry will mobilize the full arsenal of American power.
Kills.
Aren't you sick of it?
Encourage killing of innocent life.
Hatred, destruction, and death. As President, John Kerry will lead Nazi stormtroopers to defeat and destroy the world.
We are corporate criminals.
We will destroy you.
The armies of the darkness.
It is all a web of lies.
This is a worldwide enterprise.
Don't you believe it?
Accomplished liars. All that you knew was what I told you.
The world of evil, a new and evil tide.
He's a dangerous man.
There is much evil in this world.
Evil.
Jumping all over my you know what. The number one drug trafficker in the America. Government is the problem.
I believe I was not elected.
I would be delighted to take credit for it.
The misname in war and terror, it ought to be the struggle against ideological extremists who do not believe in free societies, who happen to use terror as a weapon to try to shake the conscience of the free world.
I don't want to sound like a broken record. I want to sound like
Sounds like a broken record, Shepard.
I don't want to sound like a broken record.
Sounds like a broken.
We've got better hair. Better hair.
We will double our special forces to conduct terrorist operations.
And we've got better hair. Better hair. We've got better hair.
Their lives.
We got better hair. We got
lives.
We got better hair. We got
lives.
We got better hair.
We don't have to talk about the Democratic candidates, right? They all look like a bunch of girly men.
You're going to be destroyed.
Read
My lips.
Our vote is not for sale.
Second tire.
Revolution.
Second tire. I am. Second tire. I am.
Kick down the street.
Cover up secret societies.
The office of the president would always be suspect.
We intentionally deceive the American people. Our government lies.
We have certainly seen our fair share of cop action here in Denver. To take a deeper look at the situation of police brutality, the brave reporters from PepperSpray Productions prepared this special report. Take it away, PepperSpray.
Basically just opened up with the mace first, and then came in pushing us all back, basically right to that corner there. I got shot 3 times, and we got maced. I mean, I got hit with one of those big sticks they got right there. They hit me right in the stomach. Had my hands up the whole time. It was fucking ridiculous.
What were you hitting the head with?
With a police baton.
Can you show us the staples on your head?
Yeah. From my understanding, the police were fairly frustrated that the night before we had gotten away in an extremely peaceful demonstration, and we had gotten away without really. I think there were 2 arrests that day, and so last night we actually, as organizers, had word that the police were going to be making mass arrests because they were frustrated with the fact that they had made little or no arrests the day before, and they were actually very threatening as far as what they're saying to us. You know, they were threatening to make mass arrests if we were to organize, and they held a very strong presence all around the Food Not Bombs area and all around the area where where the kids were hanging out and talking about what could possibly be happening for the night.
I was in the park, and all of a sudden I see like 10 motorcycles coming from the side, going down the wrong way of the street, coming in the park, and we see things being flown out, like things being thrown. I wasn't sure if it was a canister, and then a whole group of people start running to the north side of the park up through those pillars, and it's the front group that's over here because they're the first ones that got out, and we saw cops coming from everywhere, and I guess they enclosed them around the street. And it was a peaceful protest. There were no weapons. They put on the bandanas mostly because they did not want to be photographed and they did not want their faces to be seen.
I know in the elevator after we had been gotten our sentence, one police officer was very adamant about telling us that we really made no difference as demonstrators, and a lot of the psychological aspects of it were fairly brutal.
The persons who have permits can take the street and do their marches. People who don't have permits, then yeah, I assume that we're going to stop them.
So you're going to stop them even if they're in the park and get them to leave, and then once they're in the street, you arrest them.
In the street.
We're just trying to keep the city flowing like normal, keep people out of the streets, and that's all.
Right. I mean, if they have a permit, then we know when they're going to be on the street. We can block traffic for them and make sure that their route is safe. If they just take the street, safety is out the window. So that's the
They just take the park?
I don't know why you keep going back to the park. We're talking about streets and roadways.
We were arrested
preeminently, who weren't actually, maybe they might have taken the street later, but they weren't actually doing anything illegal at the time that they were arrested.
For sure that has not happened.
Yeah.
The only reason anyone would be arrested is because if they were doing something violent or they committed some kind of crime in the park. It had nothing to do with pre or before something. That never happened.
It doesn't happen.
Pre-march, definitely exuding power, walking straight through food not bombs lines in full riot gear, and folks are just like getting soup served to them.
Move back, move back, move back, move back, move back, move back, move back.
Some folks got out of the action at that point, and then that is when they were pretty much locked in, kitty corner from 14th and Bannock, and that is where they were pretty much holding folks, and a lot of the arrests were made.
So you're telling me those are anarchists?
What is wrong with that? Is there something wrong with that?
Are you telling me that?
Well, I presume so.
You said I was looking over there, so is that who they are?
What difference would that make?
Or food not bombs. Food not bombs.
One gentleman had 10 charges to his name and a bail set at $750. He's been profiled by the police over the past week. They've been planning to arrest him no matter his involvement in the Black Bloc. And some people are being charged with, quote, unknown, or, assault on unknown. One young man who I know personally has been charged with pedestrian use of a sidewalk in response to him taking a photograph of a police officer pulling over a car. And the word is that the police also confiscated his camera and deleted those photos before confiscating his cell phone and deleting the phone number to the People's Law Project.
People had anywhere from 20 to 5 charges made against them, things from carrying rocks, obstruction of justice, carrying missiles, being in the street. And these are folks that were legal observers, these are folks that were medics, these are folks that were participating in actions, but definitely like hands down not violent, and getting these charges put against them. A lot of folks are just wandering in from the bus system. They got a bus token from the county jail, and they're still covered in pepper spray, and they're in shock, and they don't know what's going on. And so to even just have a stand for someone to have a place to go after they've been out of jail, just some camaraderie and a hug and letting them know that they're not alone is pretty much our highest priority right now.
Even if you're a police officer, you're still a human being. This is still a common struggle between all people against, an oppressive society. And for some reason, the police officers feel that they need to back that system up that has kept us as common people down for thousands of years, truthfully.
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
After all this craziness, I decided to beam over to a peaceful beach over in the land of really good weed, Northern Cali. There I caught up with author Derek Jensen. Hey Derek, if you had one question to ask McCain and Obama, what would it be?
So if I could ask both Obama and McCain something, I guess it'd be two different questions.
I said one question.
Given that this culture is killing the planet, that methane burps have started, we can go through all the litany of the ways this culture is killing everything. Do you really believe the things you say? Are you consciously, are you insane or are you evil?
And that about does it for this edition of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. Stay tuned to Stimulator.tv tomorrow for our final episode from the motherfucking DNC. Smell you later.
What we're seeing here in Denver, and as we are going to see in St. Paul, is a microcosm of how this war operates and how this society operates. The corporations are in total control. The corporations are driving the agenda.
It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine.
Good morning, slaves, and welcome to another edition of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. The show where we kill our heroes I'm your host, Stimulator, and yesterday was a super eventful day. The biggest disappointment was Chuck D, a Public Enemy, who apparently gulped a whooping tasty swig of Barack Berry Kool-Aid.
So whatever goes on down in the arenas in Vesco Field tomorrow, we hope that it's just a forward look that in positivity that has got to be better than the last 8 years where the haves have just run rampant over the have-nots and the have-nots have been increasing.
As we reported yesterday, the Poe raided Unconventional Action's convergence space. Here's Michael Gonzalez of the band The 911s who was present at the scene.
Well, my band's on tour right now. We have a bus that runs on veggie oil, and we had it in the back when we were working on it, and next thing we know, about over a dozen, let's say maybe 18 riot cops on bikes come up and just kind of start snooping around a bit, and the person who owns the bus actually went out and started to engage in conversation with them, see what they're doing, let them know that this is our bus, if it needs to be moved, it can be moved, and then we totally legally leased this space for the time. The cops came up and just got the bulldozer and just started loading everything into the bucket of the bulldozer, people's personal belongings. I know a tent got taken, all of the paint, the banners, all the poles to hold banners with. Told everybody that they're in the back of the building that it'd be considered trespassing, they'd be subject to arrest.
This all happened while everyone was out at a Rage Against the Machine show. Following the Rage show, the crowd joined the Iraq Veterans Against the War March for 4 miles towards the Pepsi Center. This has been the largest protest at the DNC to date, with over 10,000 showing solidarity.
Yes, we can! Yes, we can! Yes, we can!
Sarah Obama, we're going to remember this. We're going to remember. We appreciate your concern for us, but we're going to remember. Throughout your election, we're going to hold it to you. Yep. If you're not accountable in this, there will be more protests.
Once the vets reached the Freedom Cage, a member of their crew delivered a letter to an Obama lackey, demanding to meet with the candidate. The Obama dude came back and promised that Obama would meet with them and chill for them out. I would like to remind the vets of what Professor Churchill told us earlier this week.
My first campaign, although I was not in a position to vote age-wise, was around Goldwater. Okay, and I opposed Goldwater because I hung out with an older crew because I was big. I didn't want my friends going to Vietnam for reasons that none of us could understand. Well, we beat Goldwater and we all went to Vietnam.
March to the gates of the Democratic National Convention, and if we can't get in and the Secret Service doesn't allow us in, we will ask for a delegate to come out, and if the delegate does not come out to accept our letter and accept the symbol of the tri-folded American flag as a token of our grief for the brothers and sisters who have lost their lives in Iraq, we are prepared to risk arrest in order to get our message across.
Today, Denver gets ready for the biggest rock concert in history, and one that will be broadcast live worldwide. Barack and the Democrats promise to hypnotize rabid fans into a new type of reality, with a massive light show, outrageous sets, extra-large high-def video screens, and fireworks. Over in the real world of Baghdad and Kabul, bombs rock the homes of civilians, suspected insurgents are detained and tortured, and the body count rises on a daily. Obama will paint a pretty little picture of the world he envisions, but meanwhile he flip-flops on his positions on Iraq and is aiming his potential military cock at Afghanistan and Iran. Last month, this show broke the censored speech by shock doctoring author Naomi Klein. I think it's about time I bring that shit back out again.
Obama may have the energy and the anger and the networks of the anti-war vote, but he does not have a plan to get us out of Iraq. What he has is a plan to downsize the occupation of Iraq, not to end it. He talks about keeping the green zone intact and calls that ending the war. Let me tell you, you cannot keep the green zone, which is the symbol of the foreign occupation of Iraq, without a massive troop presence that includes the military contractors like Blackwater as well.
Yep, Obama is not only about to become a slave of the military-industrial complex, but also a spokesperson of our failed corporate capitalist state. Here's Jeremy Scahill, Democracy Now! Correspondent and author of Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Largest Private Army.
What we're seeing here in Denver, and as we are going to see in St. Paul, is a microcosm of how this war operates and how this society operates. The corporations are in total control. The corporations are driving the agenda. When it comes to war and political conventions, there is not a Democratic Party and a Republican Party. There's a corporatist party which represents both of those constituencies. And as much as the rhetoric of the Obama campaign is about hope and change, he put the nail in the coffin of any honesty to that statement when he selected Joe Biden as his running mate. Joe Biden is not just one of those Democrats who now turns around and says, oh, I made a mistake in my vote to authorize the war. Some won't even go that far to admit that their vote was a mistake. But for Biden to simply end his involvement with saying, well, it was a mistake and now I'm going to join Barack and we're going to be critical of the war, is to whitewash his entire history in cheerleading this war. You see, Joseph Biden was the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in 2002. The Democrats were in control of the Senate at the time that the invasion and occupation of Iraq was supposed to be, or supposedly being debated. Now, Joe Biden refused to call any witnesses to testify at those crucial hearings that he chaired that would say anything outside of the parameters that were defined as such. Bomb the hell out of Iraq or bomb them and invade them. Those were the parameters set by Joseph Biden in the Senate.
And there you have it. As Obama speaks to 70,000 sheeple tonight, subMedia relocates to St. Paul, where part 2 of the spectacle we call democracy continues. Stay tuned to my website, stimulator.tv, for RNC rebellion coverage from the streets of the Twin Cities, where corporate media bootlickers dare not tread. See you next week, suckers.
Remember, kids, you can podcast high-quality video of this show at submedia.tv.
It's been 30 years since the Democratic Convention riots of 1968 pitted police and protesters against each other. But some fear history will repeat itself this week in Seattle as the World Trade Organization prepares to hold its first ever meeting on U.S. soil.
I gotta go, baby.
Oh, no, don't go now.
I wish I didn't have to. I'm running late as it is.
We believe that all the protesters will be concentrated there.
How many protesters are we expecting?
Several thousand.
It's taken 2 years to bring the World Trade Organization to Seattle, and we did it!
Each of the affinity groups are gonna shut these areas down. Now, how are we gonna do it?
Non-violently.
That's right.
Be tough on your issues, but be gentle on my town.
Yeah, we're moving now.
The protesters have seized the intersections outside.
Nobody in, nobody out.
You bring in the National Guard, the whole community's gonna become alarmed.
This is what democracy looks like.
Nervous, Johnson?
Nervous.
You're ruining everything we work for. Now we stopped them today. And what about tomorrow?
The battle in Seattle turns into a war.
What the hell's going on out there?
Battle in Seattle?